Hi, I'm Luke.
And I'm Becca, and we're talking about movies like we know stuff.
Hey friends, welcome. In today's episode, we're going to talk about The Amateur, a new action-adventure movie we just saw. But before then, we're going to do a rapid-fire preview review. And if that doesn't interest you, click on this timestamp.
So the first one that was going on while you were going to the restroom was 28 Years Later, which is like a horror zombie film. It's like the sequel to 28 Days Later.
Oh god.
Or whatever, so...
No.
Yeah, I was not enticed by that at all, so I passed on that one. Then what was next?
Megan 2.0.
Okay. So I always thought Megan was like the female Chucky, like horror film, but it looked like it was more of like a violent action film.
I think it's supposed to be kind of like a dark comedy too.
Okay.
Probably no.
Yeah, probably not for me either. Okay. After that was F1.
It looks like Brad Pitt's playing the same character.
Yeah, he was in
He's just like...
he was in Ferrari versus Ford. I think. It was him and Matt Damon, if I remember correctly.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I haven't seen it either, but I just saw the previews for it or whatever. But yeah.
I think Formula One racing is more interesting than NASCAR.
Agreed.
Does that mean I'll see it?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, again, if it's something that's like on TV or whatever, I'll probably watch it, but not...
Forgettable.
Yeah, agreed.
Looked forgettable, I guess.
All right, the next one was One Battle After Another. That was the one with Leo DiCaprio.
The only note I have is question mark. I have no idea what this trailer was trying to tell me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, Leonardo DiCaprio is getting old.
It seemed very... Yeah, I couldn't understand what the plot was necessarily for it. I think it's just like this man kind of living life after, like maybe his like wife tragically dies from like cancer or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of what I gathered from it.
Obviously, some kind of like insurrection film.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably a combination of the two. Either way,
Didn't pull me in.
The preview did not pull us in for sure. After that one was The Phoenician Machine.
The Venetian Scheme.
The Venetian, why did I say?
Phoenician, like
Yeah.
P-H-O-E.
Okay, yeah, Phoenician Scheme is what you said it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Wes Anderson film.
Oh, yeah, okay, so just because it has a bunch of big name actors in it, and it looks entertaining enough, I would give that one a go, for sure.
Yeah, like he's not my favorite artsy-fartsy director, but there's some charm to his like absurdity.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see like Grand Budapest Hotel?
I did not, no.
I haven't seen many. He did Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay, gotcha. Again, I don't know if I've seen any of his films, honestly. So, it'd be an interesting one to see, for sure.
Yeah, like, he's quirky. He's, very, like, Woody Allen-esque in the sense that he always gets very strong casts.
Yeah, well, I mean, geez, it was star-studded from the preview. Holy cow, I kept going, oh, I know that actor. I know that actress. I know that actor. I know that actress. It was very, very star-studded, for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth a watch.
Yeah, I think so, too. Okay, Freakier Friday.
I wrote down, I'll probably watch this on Disney Plus with Jamie. I don't think I'll pay for this.
Yeah.
But I guess they're trying, it's like any other sequel where they are doing the same thing, but they're like, now we're plussing it up.
Yeah,
now there's more women switching
four
bodies.
Of us. Yeah.
I wrote why.
Yeah, well, it's a cash cow for sure. Normally I wouldn't entertain movies like that. The only reason I would entertain that is because I had 9 female cousins who watched that movie ad nauseum on family vacations. And so I don't know, I guess it has like a little bit of a soft spot for me, even though it isn't a very good movie.
Yeah, no, I have like fond memories of watching it with friends that are still good friends of mine today. So again, that could be a fun Disney Plus watch.
Yeah.
And also like good for Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
She looks beautiful.
Yeah.
She's clearly doing well.
Yes.
As like a big Lindsay Lohan fan circa the Parent Trap remake.
Mm-hmm.
I still enjoy her.
Yeah.
So, but I still don't think I'll go to the theaters for it.
Okay, fair enough.
Unless like we desperately need a day night.
Right, yeah. And then the last one was the Thunderbolts. What did you think of the Thunderbolts?
So it's Russian Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, it's another Marvel thing, so I'm just kind of like, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, my favorite part of the preview was the song they used in the preview, which has nothing to do with the movie.
Right? Yeah, the song was very, very good.
Oh, I just have a soft spot for that song because they feature it in the Skeleton Twins, which is a lesser known dramedy I love.
Yeah,
so
you did show me that movie.
Love that song.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the film. I'll just watch the Skeleton Twins. If
Sure.
I want to hear that song being featured in cinema.
Fair, yeah.
So.
That makes sense. So, All right, well, that wraps up our preview, so now we'll move on to the movie. We'll try to start off spoiler-free, but it'll probably pretty quickly transition into a spoiler-based review. So,
yeah, give us a synopsis of The Amateur.
Yeah,
please.
so The Amateur follows a gentleman.
Charlie.
Charlie, it was Charlie, thank you. So, follows Charlie, who is a CIA agent who works in the depths of the dungeons of the CIA building at headquarters, and he does a lot of encryption and decryption and puzzle solving, and he's supposed to be like super smart. He has like an IQ of over 160, and he's just really, really good at puzzles. So then his wife goes on a business trip or some sort of vacation of some kind to France. London, thank you. And Europe, yeah. She ends up dying in a terroristic attack. Charlie ends up figuring out who his killers are, and it turns out the CIA knew who they were all along, and that they potentially were the ones who funded the terroristic attack.
And we're funding other, like, Black Ops missions.
Correct.
That were not officially sanctioned by the country.
Correct.
So.
Charlie brings the evidence to his superiors, who apparently already knew this because they were sanctioning it behind his back, and they chose to do nothing about it because they wanted to keep running their Black Ops missions. So Charlie takes it upon himself to go and find his wife's killers and make them pay for what they have done. And so that is a very high-level synopsis of the movie. Overall, I thought the movie was very, very good. I haven't seen an action film in a long, long time.
I know, it was fun.
But it was really fun.
It was a very fun return
It was
form.
very, very entertaining. Very entertaining. I also appreciated that at least the early on, like, puzzle solving and hacking that Charlie did was pretty authentic. I mean, no Hollywood hacking is truly authentic because it would literally bore the watcher to death.
If somebody is in their office for hours
waiting
code,
for code to run. So yes, I appreciated that the hacking was mostly realistic. There was nothing that I went, oh, they're hacking the mainframe firewall and inserting a back door into my rat trap. And it's like like the typical CSI Miami or what garbage that played on TV. I will say that the action was well paced. I wish personally that there was more of Charlie's hacking and decryption and puzzle solving, coding skills put on display. I understand there were various actions he took through. I'm trying to be spoiler free here. The actions that he took throughout the movie kind of reminded us that he's really smart. So I appreciate that they tried to show that he was still really smart and solved puzzles and paid attention to, various what I like to call Jeopardy trivia things. So what I really want, honestly, in movie form is I want something like Mr. Roboto, where Rami, funnily enough, plays that character as well. I just want something like that, but it's a whole movie where it's just a hacker that's on the run. He doesn't necessarily have combat skills, which they kind of try to emphasize here in this action movie. But again, it still kind of not devolved, but it just basically morphed into combat again, rather than him being like a computer nerd and being able to like hack into stuff.
I mean, I don't know if I completely agree. I feel like a lot of his combat was generally him like fleeing.
It's true. This is probably the best representation of a hacker on the run, but I still wanted more, I guess. Is probably the best way I want to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But it was like refreshing that this is basically like Jason Bourne, but if Jason Bourne was the guy who was always picked last in gym.
Fair, yeah.
But honestly, a really fun twist, because I get kind of tired of these tropes of these like really like tall, extremely like handsome men that are like, oh, my life is so hard and I've only found one woman to love me and I'm a nerd. And I'm like, I don't believe any of this.
Yeah.
But I believed Rami was his character.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I loved that. And I loved that I actually believed that he could be the guy who would be looked over, like kind of like the runt of the group. Mm-hmm. And it was a fun like underdog twist where I'm used to like the main character just like having everything going for them, and they're like, everything's so hard for me. I'm so good at everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and he is, but like in a way that he has to overcome, his own deep insecurities.
Yeah, right. So I guess to conclude the spoiler-free portion, I would say overall, good movie. Definitely a refreshing twist on the traditional action hero dude film, where the action hero is just uber muscular and can fight really, really well, ends up saving the day kind of thing. It's a nice refreshing twist on that. So I definitely would give this one a watch. What about you?
Like you would recommend it to others?
I would recommend it, yep.
I agree. Super fun return to form, like the Jason Bourne editing, the like city titles being typed on the screen, like the soundtrack. It was genuinely like entertaining. I didn't find my mind wandering, even though it was a decently long film. I felt like it was just like a nice return to form.
Yes, agreed.
It's like the good part of the 2000s.
Agreed. So that concludes our spoiler-free portion of the review. We are now going to be talking about spoilers, so if you don't want them, click away now. All right, so we've already given our overall thoughts. Let's talk about the story and the plot. What did you think about the story and the plot?
You know, I forgot what this movie was about. We went in to see it. I don't know if the preview made it clear that his wife died.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember if the preview made that obvious?
No, it didn't. If I remember correctly, it did not. No, it was. You saw the action, but you never actually saw it.
So I was surprised because, like, Rachel Brosnahan, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. I've only seen her in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So she's like a decently big name. So I was surprised that her character, you know, the impact was huge, but her appearance was quite small. So that was unexpected. Unexpected because she's a big name, but very cliche in the sense that, like, oh, honey, I'm going on this business trip and I'll see you in a day. I'm like, well, she's either going to be kidnapped or she's going to be murdered, so.
Yeah.
I would have liked a little more Rachel.
I can understand that completely.
You know, as a fan.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to just go off of that is that, you know, you made the comment that we don't know if she died or not from the previews. I actually, at the very beginning, was like, they're not showing her death.
I wondered that too.
She might be alive.
She might be revealed at the end.
She might be revealed to be alive at the very end. Now, I was held in suspense the entire way through because they kept replaying her death in Charlie's mind and they never showed the kill. So that's what kind of kept me thinking that. But then I should have seen the writing on the wall because it's a PG-13 film. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to show like brutal execution.
Right.
And even then, you know, there's a scene in the middle where you looked away where one guy shoots another guy point blank in the head or whatever, but they clearly cover it with like a body, basically. Like,
I know.
The other agent who's shooting.
I just feel like we've been watching very violent things lately, so I just have learned to look away.
You're just preemptively looking away.
But like Game of Thrones has ruined me. But I can't like trust cinema. And
right.
You never know.
Right. It's true. It's very true.
And I'm not like checking the ratings when I don't have a child with me.
Sure. So. Yeah. So I thought the story and the plot was really it was interesting.
I thought it was cast really well.
It was.
I should
cast
mention
really well.
that. I thought it was cast really well.
Yeah. That
Everyone.
transitions into characters really well. So yeah, talk about that.
Rami. I keep downing.
Rami.
So I never saw Rami in anything outside of Bohemian Rhapsody, where he sings very well, but overall this was not a very good film. Like it's a very like sanitized version of Queen. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was great to see him in a different dramatic role. Like I said, I really believed him as this character. I believed him as this hyper nerd who was fixated on his revenge. I believed in the way that he took his revenge, that, you know, he couldn't really bear to ever go up to somebody's face, but he had enough like anger and intelligence to formulate these really creative, complicated deaths.
Yes. Yeah. I think the character was really well fleshed out because, like you said, and you kind of pushed back on me on, was that they didn't emphasize Charlie's like hacking ability or his smarts very well. Now that I think back on it, at pretty much every turn he was being smarter than his opponents.
For every kill he was like, by the way, the building's blowing up in, 5 seconds.
In 5 seconds. So good believable characters. Nothing is going to surprise you about any of the other characters. Again, because it is a traditional beefy action man film. Big burly men from the CIA, and they're all very dark and muscularly and arrogant
like ordering extra rolls to eat
tough,
when they're
and they can speak,
being yelled at.
They can always speak the language of the natives in their local country and stuff like that. So yeah, those characters are pretty stereotypical. They're good, but they're stereotypical. Mm-hmm. Rami's character, Charlie, is very different than a typical action movie hero, which is cool.
Well, like back to the CIA, they definitely copied Jason Bourne in the sense of like the evil men at the CIA and like the very serious woman, and she's too smart for them, and she doesn't believe them. And she's eventually going to make sure they get arrested.
Right.
For being bad.
Yeah. It's
and
true.
that's fine. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a copy paste.
A lot of these action movies are copy pasty.
Yeah.
So,
maybe that's why I love Rami so much. I'm like, oh, you're adorable.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Like, you're a killing machine, but you're also adorable.
Yeah.
Morpheus. What was Morpheus's name? Henderson?
I don't remember his name.
He was Rami's, CIA trainer.
Mm-hmm. And then
So-
eventual chaser.
Great to see him, right? And I appreciate that he ended up respecting, Charlie as, a character. But I wish they would have fleshed out their relationship a little bit more. Like a slightly, not that the movie needed to be longer, but maybe a slightly longer, training montage.
Yeah.
Where Morpheus
Morpheus.
gets, frustrated enough with him to be like, you're not a killer. They showed, they were at the gun range for 2 minutes, and he's like, nope.
You suck.
And then he's like, believes in him later. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I would have liked a little more build up.
Yeah.
To why Morpheus, it kind of warms to him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll move on to the music. So I tried to pay attention to the music a little bit more than normal because I know we were going to do this. I thought the music was good. Nothing stood out to me as oh, that's going on the playlist. There might be one or two that pop out at me, but I couldn't tie a song to a specific part in the movie. I'm going to have to go back and find online and find the soundtrack and listen to pretty much scrub through all of the songs to find the ones that I actually liked. But I mean, it is an action film, so there's not not gonna have Charlie's theme, in an action
I
movie.
mean, really, do any action movies have memorable themes besides Jason Bourne and Mission Impossible?
Yeah, right.
Not
No,
really.
Not really.
It's not gonna be the strength of the movie.
That's correct.
But it was fine.
Yeah, the music was fine. I thought it was good. It was very appropriate.
It did its job.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. The visuals and the special effects. What'd you think?
I mean, I kept thinking more violent things were going to happen because I kept looking away.
Yeah.
So I'd say by that,
Yeah, I had to.
that review, pretty good.
Yeah, I had to whisper over to you and remind you that it was PG-13 because you kept looking away.
Yeah, well, so was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and that was the most traumatizing movie of my life.
Yeah.
So look, sometimes ratings are BS.
That's completely fair. The special effects, I didn't notice anything that looked weird. Maybe the plane at the very end, the one when he flies off, that felt a little fake to me. And I'll probably watch a special effects reaction. It'll be totally real, practical, and I'll be an idiot. But the plane.
Well, we're not special effects artists, so.
The plane felt a little VFX-y to me. The explosions and everything looked fine. A problem that I have a lot with these action hero movies is that they tend to be pretty dark, and this one suffers from darkness a little bit. Not as bad as some others where you can't hardly see what's going on, where they try to have a fist fight, a fast cut fist fight in the dark. It doesn't suffer that badly.
Hunger Games camera.
Yeah, it doesn't suffer
style.
that badly, but there are some dark scenes where I'm I can't tell what's going on because everything's black. So.
If the scene's too dark, you're too old.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the point that I wanted to make was that I looked over at the couple next to me, and it was a husband and wife, and they were probably in their 50s, maybe their 60s. And every time Charlie would hack and do something really cool with computers and fool the CIA, the husband would look over at his wife, and then he'd look back over, and he had this big, cheeky grin on his face. And I could just hear him giggling to himself, yeah.
That sounds like my dad. My dad would do that.
Yeah. But when I saw that, it kind of dawned on me that people don't generally have a very good understanding of what computers are and are not capable of, especially people who are older. So, for example,
they didn't grow up with them.
That's true, yeah. But for example, they could have had Charlie hacking into a computer and then he turns invisible, and people would have been oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Computers can definitely do that, even though currently there's no way a computer could possibly do something like that.
That might be a little harsh.
Yeah?
Again, this is a generation that didn't get a computer until the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind that also you code for fun, so
True.
If they threw in some BS language Charlie hacked the flurbin, you wouldn't know that was, garbage.
Right.
Because you enjoy learning about technology as a sport.
That's true. Yes, I
And that's
do.
Probably,
As a sport.
It's probably not going to be, the elderly accountant in his 60s, sitting next to us.
That's true. Yeah. So that's a completely fair point.
And, keep in mind that even though, I grew up in the same generation that you did, but I still don't consider myself technologically advanced. It's just not where my interests lie. I'm a right-brained person. I'm not a puzzle solver. I've never meaningfully contributed to an escape room. So I feel like you could pull the wool over my eyes a little bit with the magical coding as well.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true, for sure. So yeah.
So just another perspective.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So anyway, that was the story that I wanted to tell. So anyway, yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it was I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, mostly because I couldn't remember the preview very well. But we've been kind of in a dry spell for like movies that we want to go to the theater for.
Yeah.
So, which we should have seen Mickey 17. That was probably a miss, like not seeing that in theaters.
Yeah, I wish we would have seen that in theaters.
But there was like nothing else.
It's true.
Like Snow White remake, no.
Yeah, right.
Like, Minecraft, no.
I give Minecraft just for nostalgia's sake, but I don't expect it to be good.
I can't even think of anything else that was in the theater.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was a nice movie to come back to.
Yeah. Anyway, that was our review of The Amateur.
What would you give it out of 10?
I would give it out of 10. I would say I'd give it an 8.1. It was a good action movie. Surprised me in a couple places, but it's still just an action movie.
Yeah, I don't do decimals. 8.
Okay, fair enough.
It gets an 8.
All right, fair enough.
It's a fun time.
Fair enough. All right, well, thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.